Hi, thank you for coming. I know it's the afternoon, we've just had lunch and we're probably starting to feel quite sleepy. So we'll try and make it as interesting as possible. I'm Sue Hart, I work for the Huntercombe Group, which is an independent sector, so I work in the secure unit. I'm actually head of education and therapy, but I'm actually a head occupational therapist by trade.
And I'm Nash Momori, director and founder of a project called Real Insight is a team of individuals with complex and multiple needs, and more or less we provide insight into what it's like to access services.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of set the scene and give you a bit of kind of a socio-political kind of infrastructure to how the Recovery College kind of came about. Then I'm going to tell you about how I got Nash involved. And Nash has developed a fantastic model about service user inclusion that we're actually using as part of Recovery College. So Nash is going to tell you about that. Then I want us to all get our heads together, because I think the great thing about workshops, as much as you can get information from us, you guys are also experts and we want to kind of learn from you as well, okay? So what we're going to do is have a bit of a 10-minute challenge at the end and then have a bit of feedback. So what we're going to look at is including service users in the development, co-production of the Recovery College, but what are the particular challenges of doing that for people with intellectual disabilities, okay? Hi, welcome. Okay. Okay, have any of you guys heard of Sequins? They're not the little bright sparkly things, yeah? Okay, that's what NHS England set. So they set us a challenge, okay, take part of the bed price off. If we meet the challenge, they kind of give it back to us, okay? So our company is linked in with Birmingham and Black Country, and the sequin they gave us for the year is actually about developing a recovery college. Have you guys actually seen a sequin? Shall I show you? It's quite useful to see. Let's crack on and I'll show you later. Okay, so the whole tenet of the Recovery College is that it's co-delivered and co-produced with not only a kind of a medical expert or a therapist, but somebody with lived experience, okay? Somebody who's either gone through that process of recovery, okay, that can reflect on it and give hope to, we don't call them service users, we call them our students, okay? Can actually give hope to our students. And that's really important, because often as therapists, we often tend to think that we know best, yeah? And often we don't know best. It's the people who've actually experienced it. So there's a lot of evidence about if you actually put somebody in and co-produce with somebody who's actually got that lived experience, then it's actually much better outcomes for the people actually attending, okay? But it's also really empowering for those people who are actually co-delivering and co-producing. The important thing about the Recovery College is it's actually not based on the therapeutic principles, it's actually based on an educational approach, okay? So what we're going to show you is how learning more about yourself, learning more about your difficulties can actually help you to take kind of more control, okay? Okay, so first of all, I need to kind of find out what a Recovery College is, okay? So the first thing I do is, who goes to YouTube when they want to know anything? Yeah, okay, not just me. Okay, so South London and Maudsley, type in South London and Maudsley Recovery College. They've got an absolutely fantastic video, and this is where I found Nash, okay? So Nash was involved in setting up the very first Recovery College in the country, okay? So it's worked with South London and Maudsley Hospital, very reputable organisation, and I was literally kind of, I want you to track that guy down because I want to talk to him, okay? So I then started searching for, okay, I need to find the right people around me, okay? But I also need to find some guidance on what I need to do. So what we need to do is to co-produce between people with professional experience and people with lived experience, okay? So that's why Nash and I have kind of joined forces, okay? We need a physical base for the delivery, so we need a building, okay? Our building is currently education and therapy. We're going to do away with that. We are going to be the Cedar Recovery College, which was our lovely little logo that we designed at the front, okay? It's going to operate on college principles, okay? So, you know the college's prospectus where you fill in an application form? Yeah? Okay, we want to try and reduce stigma. We want to try and have it as kind of an open college, open for all. Okay. Now, there is actually an exclusion criteria on the Sequin that says not to include people with a stay of less than 3 months, okay? We didn't want to do that. We didn't want to exclude anybody, okay? We wanted to make it open for all. So we have taken a local decision to kind of remove that bar, really. Okay, so there'll be a personal tutor to offer information, advice and address any questions. And that will generally come through the occupational therapist. Okay, it's not, the college isn't a substitute for assessment and treatment. Okay, that is the therapy side of it. Okay, but alongside therapy, we all need education, don't we? Yep. Okay, it's also not a substitute for mainstream colleges. Okay, so we'll talk a little bit more about that in a bit. Okay. But it must reflect on recovery principles in all of its culture and operation, okay?
We might be, you might realise that we'll be rushing. We've only got half an hour, so maybe we should just speed up and get the work done.
Okay, so we can link it in with VPN, making sure that we give equitable rights about people's independence, yep. Okay, so I will fleet along with that, okay. So some of the challenges that we find in terms of kind of capacity. So if you look at, for example, South London and Maudsley, they'll do, as part of the Recovery College prospectus, they'll do half-day courses on like introduction to anxiety, introduction to depression. Obviously that not only requires capacity, also requires a degree of insight, which generally our patients don't have, okay? So we need to think outside of the box. So this has never actually been done before. Recovery College set up specifically with people with intellectual disabilities. We know that the way we present the information has got to be in a much more different format, more visual, more interactive, okay? So we're looking at capacity issues, issues that we'll have to address things like complexity of words, complexity of sentences, yeah? So all those kind of things that link in with kind of how people communicate. Sorry, capacity issues. Communication, we need to kind of look at, do we need PECs, do we need Macaton to actually supplement what we're trying to say? Okay, so what we did was we heard there might be some money available, so we got in touch with Health Education England, Kent, Surrey and Sussex, and they kindly actually supported our bid. We wanted to kind of do it different. We wanted it specifically with people with intellectual disabilities. We wanted everything in an easy-read format. We wanted it to also have a carer involvement element to it, which some of the recovery colleges haven't had to date. And also what we wanted to do is to actually turn the courses that we're doing into nationally accredited courses. So we've actually got the capacity to be actually an accredited college in our own right, such as like Crawley College, etc. Okay, I'm going to hand over to Nash. Nash is going to take you through the social inclusion model because this is how we're trying to make sure that we get the service user at the heart of everything.
Thank you. I suppose if you notice, we needed more time because this takes time, but it was just a little preview.
So come speak to us, okay?
The reality is, to get things right, you don't normally just go straight up doing it. You need to do the groundwork. And the groundwork is, and today since this morning, whatever conversation we've had, it's all about relationships. It's all about how do we co-produce, how do we get together, how do we collaborate. On our table earlier on with Daniel chairing, it was obvious that relationship was the core and the bedrock of recovery-orientedness. But obviously you don't just sit people down and say, look, let's build trust. That will never work. Even in relationships, husband and wife, you don't say, let's start to trust each other. You need to demonstrate that. So we've got this little involvement framework that is actually an epitome of my life. I should have given you a bit of a background, but I am someone that's had an extensive amount of service use, as in-house and inpatient and community-based as well. And it was always very difficult for me to commit and engage because I never trusted anyone. But then that took its toll. And therefore I was just stuck continually because I was never willing to engage because I didn't trust anyone. I just felt was the point. So through that, I realized that being able to open up and start trusting helped me. And if you look here, we've got, it doesn't necessarily have to work like that, because we're different. So we see like trust in relationships. Obviously, when you begin to trust, you mutually accept each other, practically. And when there is that acceptance, of course, there's that self-belief and hopefulness. Then we begin to learn and discover, get to know each other, what turns us on, what puts us off. And obviously, you get empowered. You feel like you own yourself, you own the state, you can afford to do something. And then probably you get a sense of meaning, direction. And that's exactly what my journey was like. And so therefore we're using that, considering the fact that people who learn difficulty have a very complex way of dealing with it. You see, the challenge itself is a challenge. And then being able to do things with people who don't understand that can be very, very daunting. So yeah, that's the framework we've adopted. And as I said, you could see it, there's that level of user involvement. As much as it's got advantages, merits, it's also got challenges. So I've just spoken about trust in relationships. Probable merit is the open communication, transparency and that. But the challenge is actually redefining the boundaries between staff and service users. That mutual acceptance comes with being non-judgmental, working proactively, and practice involves shared goals. But then again, you have to be able to challenge that notion of health professionals knowing best. We did discuss that. Self-belief. Yes, I believe in myself. I'm hopeful. Yes, our contribution is valued and acknowledged. But how do you ensure that my involvement is not a tick box exercise? How do you make me feel that level of belonging? Yes, I'm learning, I'm discovering. There's that openness, the organization is inclusive, it's accepting me, it's making me feel safe. But that willingness of health professionals contemplating and changing the service based on volitional narratives of service users. Is that resonating in anyone? Let's face it. Please. Let's see. Well, at the moment, I feel empowered. I'm able to wear, as one of my colleagues noticed that we're wearing the same shoes. I put on my best shoe, Gucci. Because this is, and yeah, some years back, I could never ever have dreamt of wearing this shoe, because that money would go straight down to drugs. There's no way I could own anything good. But at the moment, I could see that I'm directing that into certain things. And I feel good, I feel important. I'm being supported enough to value myself. And so therefore I like to be the best. Not that I am, I would like to. So yeah, but then that empowering attitude, being able to contribute towards decision making, has its challenges. How do we ensure that processes of making contributions are equitable, regardless of, the service impairments? Taking ownership, but then how are they able to support me designing the rules that are integral to the initiative? Because policies and procedures can be in the way. It hinders progress and success. Finally, I don't think anyone gets to direction and meaning, but that is subjective. It's how you feel. Not even the CEO could say, yes, I've got a positive sense of direction. Because what systems and processes need to be put in place to ensure that services are driven and led by service users. The question now is, I'll pass you on to Sue. Sorry, I wasn't.
So the whole point is that to make sure that service users are at the heart of what we're doing, we're actually going to follow Nash's model. So just for 2 seconds, what we did was we ran what we call a recovery cafe. We got all of our potential students together with Nash, and what we said was, look, we don't want to sit there and write the prospectus like other places have written it, and they're all doing exactly the same thing, okay? We want to write it for you guys. You tell us what you want, okay? And they were telling us what they want. It's like, do you know what? They were saying, do you know what, Nash? you guys, you strike up a conversation with us, you ask us lots of questions, but I want to know about the new member of staff. What do they like? What are they interested in? I want to be able to strike up a conversation with them. So what we started to do was all the courses they said they wanted to do, we actually started to put along this model, okay? Not only that, we mapped all of the prospectus onto the lifestyle, okay? Right? So you've got a 10-minute challenge, guys. There's 7. I want you to kind of get yourself into 7 groups. Now, what we've taken is each of Nash's level of service user involvement, okay? And I want you to spend the next 5 minutes or so in your groups discussing this challenge, okay? Maybe at the front, Nash? Okay. So, before you start, guys, what I've done is I've looked at Nash's service user model, which he has published in a book. If you want to know where it is, I can show you. What I've done is I've taken the aspects of the model that I think for intellectual disabilities holds the biggest challenge for us in terms of implementation. As much as we want to give you information, you guys are all experts. We want some ideas to take into our recovery college as well. So, 22 guys, you've got about 5 minutes. Does that sound okay? I'm going to go and get... No, I just want some... 10 minutes? Have we got 10 minutes?
5 minutes.
Sorry, 10 minutes. 10 minutes. We've run over a little bit. Thank you very, very much. Okay. Okay, guys, thank you so much. I appreciate that the task we've given you is quite tall. But as I was saying to this group over here, to get this many LD experts in one space, we just kind of wanted to kind of gather all of your ideas. So, Nash, if you want to lead for each group and I will write. We want to get your pearls of wisdom up.
So, group 1.
And 7.
Okay. This is 15 seconds per group, if that's fine. Okay. Any feedback?
We've probably got about a minute per group, so we want your pearls of wisdom, guys.
Okay, we go to the next group once you actually...
Oh yes, I remember.
Do you want to
Okay.
give them the mic?
Sorry.
Thanks, Sarah.
We talked about the opportunity for individuals to get to know one another and the staff, and so that they had a forum to be able to share and relate on a very human basis. And then we talked about potentially there's a trust formula that's out now, and maybe using that as a theoretical underpinning to facilitate exercises that would take them through that. So that you've got like an educational basis, but it's all inclusive and it's not alienating individuals.
So Sarah, great co-production, Sarah, will not be after you afterwards.
And then there was something else I think that you mentioned that built on that, or a forum of some kind or a feedback.
Yeah, we were talking about certainly my experience over the years with various different forums and groups. It's great to have a service user or a person with learning disabilities, but it's got to be meaningful. And we were talking about, it kind of links into number 7, you know, in terms of co-chairing, the person with the learning disability could be the chair, and then the professional or whoever could be the co-chair and support them in that way. But it's got to be meaningful, absolutely, yeah.
Thank you very much. Third group, let's be snappy.
Okay. Okay, right. So we had to talk about how we would enable service users with intellectual disabilities to understand and should reflect and understand each other's needs and differences. So we talked about the possibility of sessions to do with building relationships. So a bit perhaps maybe something like a speed dating kind of setup where people have a few minutes to kind of get to know each other, get to know what people are about. We also talked about the resource called Books Beyond Words, which are a fantastic resource for people with learning disabilities to talk about scenarios that are theoretical. So it brings out lots of discussion points and would probably help other people to reflect and understand what situations other people might be going through.
Thank you very much. Okay, for room 3.
Right, we were looking at how activities could be adjusted to people's specific needs. So we were thinking about things like the importance of accessible information and asking people what they wanted themselves, looking at different tools of communication and recognising the need that we would have to explain things differently to people because of different levels of ability, basically. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you very much. Okay, group 4.
So
Don't worry, you guys have the hardest.
we discussed about setting boundaries. So then the people, like if they overstep the boundaries, then they're gonna be like consequences or something to, and and making it easy read, because some things I find when I go for a college application or something, it's not easy read and I struggle. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, group 5. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Thanks, David. Take one.
Not at all. So we talked about some sort of basic things around sort of obviously participation and inclusion, but not that just being tokenistic. Maybe someone nominated, but that might just be the bravest person or the person who's most confident. So that's information as a result of a meeting, maybe it needs to be shared with other people. So it's other people are able to input. Talked about some basic sort of practical things around if there's a meeting, for example, people being pre-warned about what they're going to talk about. Obviously, in the accessible information, so people have have got the opportunity to be pre-warned and can sort of start to think about ideas. Yes, yep. We also talked about lots of really interesting stuff that escapes me. Yeah.
There's already 4 or 5 things I think I'm going to take away.
Group 6.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What we were talking about was empowerment. What we were talking about was how sometimes I think in college, how the college students have to decide how they want to learn rather than being told what to do, like in special schools where teachers tell children you have to do it like this, or because if you don't then there will be consequences, but the young children don't like that at all.
So it's owning
Yeah,
your
ideas. Yes.
Fantastic. So owning ideas and sharing them?
Yeah.
Right, brilliant.
And how you want to be involved sometimes in ownership, not be isolated and be alone.
Brilliant. So how you want to be involved, not what we think.
Yes. I think,
There's a difference, isn't
yeah,
there?
like I don't want to be sitting on a chair. I want to go outside sometimes.
In the summer I try to do
Yeah.
some of my sessions outside.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Can we clap for everyone, if you don't mind? Just a 5-second thing. Sarah, do you mind if I use you as an example? Just before we started, just before we started, Sarah was at the door and said, I'm not going to come in. It's about Recovery College. And I thought, yes, but it's all about relationship building, and it's some of the principles. And just come in, you might like it. How do you feel?
I feel really bad now. I was trying to read the title because I couldn't remember which one I'd opted for. But as it happened, my name was on the door on the sign-up sheet anyway, so I was due to be here. But yeah, no, I feel fine. It's good to contribute.
You see, that's exactly what our presentation demonstrates. It's actually who feels it knows it. Having the real people in the same room and actually opening up and having that transparency is what it's all about. So when we talk about meaningful involvement, we're talking about involvement where equal partnership. If you brought 95% of knowledge and I brought 5, it doesn't make a difference. It's the same equal partnership. It's considered as 50-50. And the moment that is done, there is that level of acceptance. And so we needed more than 2 hours for this presentation. But if anyone needs some more, we can signpost you onto how to get information and access it. Thank you very much. Any questions?
Any questions? Sorry. Hi, Kathy.
I thought that was absolutely brilliant example of co-production and co-delivery, which was really inspiring. I'm a lecturer in learning disability, and I can be at the Bacchus as well, at the same university. And we've recently heard of an initiative elsewhere in our university to develop simulated service users in education. In other words, service users being played by actors. Now, I'd just be interested in your comments on that.
Sorry. Would you mind, Kathy?
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Interested in my comments?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll tell you what, I had that. I have an exercise that I run with one of my workshops where I put 3 people in a room with no name badges. Can we have 2 more minutes before the
Please.
Thank you. Co-productively where no badges, no one knows who, it's just 3 individuals.
Oh, can you grab the mic?
Oh, sorry.
Oh.
It's just 3 individuals, and you give them a topic to discuss. The outcome of that conversation is completely different from you put the same 3 people, one is a carer, one is a professional, and one is a service recipient. And that same topic, the same people, the fact that they've got labels, conversation comes out different. So when you put, this is more like a reflective practice here. So if you put a service user to play the role of a commissioner or a clinician, instantly their way of responding and engaging is different because they feel that power of authority. So yes, that's my comment. So for once, everybody should be able to sit in someone. That's of course what they call in empathy, isn't it? Yeah. So one should be able to empathize.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Final question.
Thank you for your time. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Probably last question.
It's not so much a question. We actually have got a couple of recovery colleges with our trust, but they're for mental health. And as a learning disability nurse, I'm very, very keen to know how you would set it up for someone with a learning disability.
Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. And there is the challenge. Yeah, it's not actually been done. And I think this is the whole, if you have a look at South London Maudsley Recovery College, the patients not only have to have a capacity, they need to be able to do like a half-day introduction to anxiety, they need to be able to understand the information, they need to be able to do the cognitive behavioural therapy, reflect on it. Our guys just can't do that. So how do you provide them with a recovery journey that's meaningful, okay? Our patients, service users, actually students, want what we have. They want a life, they want to work, they want to have meaningful relationships, they want to have leisure time. How do we give them opportunities to actually do that, okay? So we've linked in with ASDAM College, and what they do is they do courses like planning on going out. So not only is it what we call occupationally focused, it's, you know, kind of driven by something that's an everyday need, okay? But it's also got an education base to it, okay? So what we're doing, every course that we write, they can actually get a national qualification. We've turned ourselves into an accredited college, just like Canterbury Christchurch College or anything like that, okay? Because a lot of our guys, Being a secure unit, we often get patients on section 3741, might have come from a high secure, medium, low secure, okay? Because of the whole DBS system that's required to get into college, we can't get these guys in. So how do we create opportunities for them to learn and develop when society is not accepting them? Do you see what I mean? And this is how it links in with the transforming care plan.
And if anyone has any further question or discussion,
We're around.
catch us, we're around. Can we
I'm aware that you're meant to have a cup of tea.
allow you to-
Thank you, guys.